Right, I think we should be live and everything. For now, I think everything should be okay. Oh dear, what's happened? Okay, they for some reason shut. How if I open that? Yeah, now we're working. Now we're talking, I think. I think everything should be working. Let's have a look. 2 seconds. I am just checking everything is working. Yeah, should be live. Everything should be working. We are kind of small on the camera. Is that better? That might be better. I think that's a better angle. Yeah. Right, so yes, we are live. Almost time for launch of Starship. I believe their official SpaceX stream starts in 25 minutes. So we've got a little bit of time before we check out the actual stream and go along with the flight. So I thought we'd mess about in some Kerbal Space Program 2. Let's have a fly of some Starship designs in Kerbal Space Program. So let's go for this. Why is the thumbnail for this wrong? Let me fix that. Oops. That needs to be a new window. So many windows. No, the thumbnail should be right. Okay. There we go. Right, there we go. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the thumbnail. I don't know why it's weirdly me channel cover instead of an actual thumbnail for this live stream. But anyway, right, let's get doing something in Kerbal Space Pro. Whoa, what's going on with this? Oh, since the patch, they changed the way the camera moves, didn't they? Oh, that is so weird. I don't know if I like that. But anyway, we don't want to play with the Harrier jet. We want Starship. I don't know which one it is. I That's the latest one. 27th, Starship 2. Should we load that, see how that looks. Oh, that's the one without the fins. Okay. Let's save that so it's got the new save. Yeah, that's better. I need to go through all these saves and redo them so I can see the Starship 3. Okay, that's not one with the fins. That's not one with the fins. That's the one with the fins, I think. Yeah, that's the one with the fins. So we're going to take this landing legs off as well. We haven't got landing legs on the actual booster. Do I have anything in the cargo bay? Oh, parts manager did not want to do that. Ah, just a fuel tank. Yes, okay, I remember. So we're going to save that, override that. And then we'll do like a little flight of the Starship in Kerbal Space Program 2 while we wait for the actual launch. I think the stream is okay. I don't know what's going on. I think it's fine. Oh my god. The updates have really sort of messed with everything. Ryzen? Okay, there we go. So yeah, there's no Kerbals on board. And now we should be able to... Can we not lock the heading yet? Let's do a countdown. There we go. Look at all them engines on there. Was it 14 engines? Yeah. Obviously there's really 33 on the actual ship, but trying to get 33 engines in Kerbal Space Program 2 to work without running no FPS is challenging. Let's do a little bit of roll. There we go. I really wish we could turn off these winglet effects. I really don't like it. I'm going to try and lean a little bit, not too much, that this thing's going to explode. Oh, that's getting a little bit wobbly. Oh dear. Come on. Uh-oh. What on earth is going on? Come on. Stop wobbling. Okay, let's just go prograde. See if that sorts out the wobble. Are they actually getting heating effects? Are they going red, or is that just the lighting in the sun? I think it might just be the lighting, but they look red. Like they're getting hot. Speed up this pitch a little bit here. little bit better. I'm not going as steep as I would like though. What is the burger icon up there? Escape menu? Why does it look like a burger? I need to leave a bit of fuel in here as well for boosting back. Right, I think if we cut the fuel here, if we cut the rocket, the booster, do a quick save, stage, and then continue on with the Starship part, and then we'll land the booster later. Okay, we need to go more horizontal here. Actually got loads of Delta V in this stage. Actually, like, way too much. Looks like I think they still go for launch on the actual rocket itself as well. And we'll leave it there for now. And then we'll just coast for a bit. Oh, what is going on with the view? There we go, look at that. We are pretty much in orbit. But if we're following the real test, we don't really want to end in orbit, do we? But we're going to be on the dark side, so I'm going to increase the orbit a bit and come around and splash into the water around here somewhere. What's going on with the view? Why does it keep resetting inside, like, really close? It's so weird. So let's see how long is actually left on this, on the countdown here. Let's have a look. So their SpaceX's live stream starts in 13 minutes. So we'll see what the official countdown is once that starts. I wonder how long the actual one coasts for. I don't know how long it coasts. It's got to be quite a while to go most of the way around, isn't it? 90 minutes orbit? Something like that. So it looks like weather is the main issue, the main concern with the actual launch. So hopefully that sorts itself out. We want to see some rockets today. Some real rockets. I'm keeping track of the Twitter as well on SpaceX making sure everything is still going ahead. And once the launch, actually, the live stream of SpaceX starts, I'll start it on this stream as well. The current live stream that is onshore is Lab Padre. If you want to check them out, the link is at the top of the description. I'm just using a little bit of their stream for now until the actual SpaceX stream starts. Why is the camera doing that? That must be a new thing from the patch. So anyway, I'm going to actually save the game here. And then we'll load our quick save. Fly the booster back. And then land the Starship in the sea. I think that is going to be the plan. So we need to separate that, fly that off, and stage back to this. So we now want to go retrograde. Back like that. Let's start that burn. Want to make sure we leave enough fuel in this. Right, 600 meters per second. That should be fine. We don't want to land too close to the landmass, do we? What is... Hang on. There we go. There's the view. What is going on with the view? How come they patch the game and then it breaks it even more? What is this? Why am I spinning around? Oh god. How did they manage to break this game with patches? I don't understand. But anyway, let's time warp to the booster coming back in. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit of fuel on there just to get us facing the right way. What has happened to the view? Why is it so broken? There we go, and cancel that now. I don't know why is my live stream, the thumbnail, so wrong? I have no idea. Right, so we're coming down. Right, we're coming in the atmosphere now, so our fins should take over, hopefully. All the fuel, I want to be in the bottom of the tank, so we don't flip. I forgot to do that, didn't I? Oops, I forgot to do that. This one. Into this one. There we go. Make sure all that weight's down below so this thing doesn't flip. Why can't I change my view? What is going on with this? Why is this game so broken? Welcome everyone that's on the stream, by the way. Views are going up now, so get yourself in the chat if you're in. Tell us what's going on. How are you doing today? Uh-oh. Is this going to start flipping now? Oh no, the fins are taking over. Well done, fins. Here we go. Uh-oh. Don't do a twirly woo. Don't do the twirly woo. Oh dear. What is happening with these fins? Right now, boost. Suicide burn. Oh. Oh, here we go. Look at this. That was a good suicide burn. That was a good suicide burn. And we'll just flop it in. And there we go. We've landed the booster. Not too far off the coast as well, I don't think it was. How far was it off the coast? Not too far. Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad at all. I'm actually pleased. That was the first time I landed the booster successfully. The last few missions I've done with this, I did not land the booster very successfully at all. Right, so that's to see if we need to load. Sorry if I sound a bit funny. I do have a cold as well, so I apologise for that. Oh, my camera's back to working. Okay, that's good. Right, let's time warp to Aberwaps, because I want to do a little bit of a burn to get further into the daylight, so I'm not belly flopping this in the night, because that would be pretty rubbish for YouTube's sake. There we go. So we want to go retrograde now. Not have the camera inside the Starship. And then, how long's left on the actual stream now? 4 minutes until the stream starts. Okay. Right, there we go. Bring it round. Oh, there we go. And pause. Turn it round. We'll bring it down. Try and aim for this bit of water here somewhere. Right, okay, so we are spinning around now. Look at this nice sunrise here. Let's bring our Aberwaps right down. We don't want to land at the space center. We just want to land in the water here. So here we go for a beautiful sunrise in Kerbal Space Program 2. Look at that. So also, if you're watching, do your predictions down below if you think the Starship is going to make it, if you think it will do a full flight or not. I should actually do... Oh no, what have I done? I've brought me windows. I should really do a poll. That would be cool. To have a poll in the chat, but never mind. I'm breaking things if I try and do that. So let's time warp a little bit. Approaching Kerbin, yes, okay. Actually, let's just stay. If we pull it up a little bit. I really wish it had re-entry effects. That would be so cool right now. There we go. Keep it about that angle. Let's see what happens here. We've got 3 minutes or so to get to the point to get this thing down and start watching the actual stream. I'm just going to mute my mic and black out my camera a second just while I blow my nose here. Get my windows back open. Oh, and it's bugged out again. Having this many windows open for a live stream is really difficult. Oh, and now I've lost the chat. Oh, now we've done that again. Okay, now I've got my windows right. Okay, yes, everything's right here. So we should be landing in the water, in the ocean. Here we go. You can see the flaps doing some work, trying to keep it stable. About 30 degrees. What degrees are we? About 45 degrees. Yes. So what I'm actually going to do as well, while this is coming in, which is going to mess up my windows again, but we are going to jump to the SpaceX launch on our windows now, so we can see what is happening with that. And I've bugged it again. Oh dear. Yep, there we go. Now I can see when the SpaceX live stream actually goes live. And that's not looking our tank. It actually looks like I've got like a header tank here, but it's not. It's just inside of one of the fuel tanks. We're coming in a little bit steep now. I'll push it forward a little bit. Actually, are we going to end up hitting the land? No, we don't want to do that. How do I combat this? Oh no. Right, let's pull up a little bit. Ooh, too much maybe. Because we want to make sure we're belly flopping into the sea. And now we're spinning out of control. That is not a good sign. That is not good things. Right, there. Stay there. Okay, just point prograde. Let's go from there. Can you do that? No. Okay, we're losing control of this thing. We're losing control. Okay, actually, are we regaining control here? Are we regaining control? Yes, yes we are. Oh, no, we're not. Maybe. Okay. Oh, the SpaceX live stream is starting, so we're getting somewhere. Right, let's by prograde. No, you don't want to do that? Yes, right, there we go. There we go, come on. Steady up. Steady up, right. Oh no, this thing just wants to act wild. I mean, it's going to belly flop into the sea regardless. It might belly flop, it might nosedive, it might go in backwards. We don't really know what's going on with this thing. Let's just turn SES off. See what happens. Try and manually fly it. No, that's not going to work. Just manually flying it? No, nope. I mean, we're coming down pretty fast. Oh dear. Let's hope this thing smashes into pieces, at least. Oh, we're actually doing a belly flop now. Look at that. No SES, it's working. Right, there we go. There we go. Wow, submarine. Wow, look at that. Let's fire the engines and go deep underground. No, that's not going to work, is it? We're a Roman candle. It's like a Roman candle firework, look at that. Burn the last of the fuel. What are these water physics? Pop. Fire. Pop. Fire. Pop. Right, I think that's enough for Kerbal Space Program 2. We've done our mission in Kerbal Space Program 2. We will now head to the live stream and see what is going on with the actual launch. There we go. Is this going to mess things up if I move this? Kind of. It has. Okay, yeah, I see what's going on here. Let's fix this. There we go. Has that fixed it? Has a little bit. Cool. We are now ready for the live launch of this thing. Right, and I'll also switch the audio as well so you can hear the actual stream. There we go. Awesome. So on the right of the screen, on the stream, I have got the information about the flight test and stuff. Bump your microphone up a little bit. Okay, let's do that. Have to do that on the mic itself, I think. Try that. How's that now? Is that better? Do I need to turn down the actual audio a little bit? So I turned it down a little bit just because I don't want you to hear us sniffling and stuff because of me cold. So that's why I turned it down a bit. Hopefully you're getting this live. Yes, this is live. Much better. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I've see, I needed someone to come into the stream half an hour ago to tell us that when we were doing our Kerbal Space Program 2-bit. That would have been handy. I think it's cut off the bottom of the... No, that should be fine. I think we should see everything on that window there. Are you excited for it, Mixed Pickles? How far do you think we are going to get? Oh, I don't want to show you that. You are not meant to see that screen. Oh, here we go. Right, can I do... No, I can't. Hopefully, all of it. I mean, that's the goal, yeah. Hope so. I've got a feeling it might crumble under its own power. Under the booster's power. That's my guess. I don't know. They've done a lot of testing though, so hopefully that is not the case. I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit more, I think. There we go. Getting it look a bit nicer. Champion. So 33 minutes.
On your screen is a live view of Starship as it awaits its second attempt at our first ever integrated flight test from Starbase, Texas. If all goes well, we hope to see our Starship spacecraft and Super Heavy booster, which we collectively call Starship, lift off together for the first time in exactly 33 minutes from now. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kate Tice, Quality Systems Engineering Manager.
Yes, that is better. Much better.
In Hawthorne, California.
And I'm Shiva Bharadwaj, a Space Operations Engineer here at SpaceX. Now, if you've been following along, you'll know that we stood down from our initial launch attempt on Monday, and that was due to a frozen pressurization valve on the Super Heavy booster.
SpaceX teams investigated the issue.
I am going to actually add a poll. Whoops.
Which caused the valve to freeze up when we were loading super chilled liquid oxygen
to the stream.
Now, these valves are super important because we actually need a pressurant to go back into the tank as we consume propellant, and we actually use a pressurant that comes from the Raptor engines. It's heated down there and then put back in the tank. And so a frozen valve there would be a problem during the launch.
Yeah, and that's important. You can think of it like drinking out of a thin plastic water bottle. If you're chugging that water, it crinkles if you don't let air back into it. So we use that hot exhaust gas from the Raptor engines to refill that consumed volume as propellant is depleted. So it was a great find by the countdown, and that's why we have a countdown, is to allow us to find those issues prior to liftoff. So all of that being said, our teams learned a lot over the last 48 hours, and we are ready to give it another go. As many of you know, Starship is the latest and largest vehicle developed to date by SpaceX. It will be the world's most powerful launch vehicle once fully developed and have twice the thrust of the Saturn V rocket. But the key breakthrough with Starship is that it will be fully reusable and capable of carrying up to 150 metric tons of payload to orbit in a reusable configuration and up to 250 metric tons when expendable.
Now, for context, Falcon 9 is only partially reusable.
There we go.
We recovered the largest part of the rocket, that's called the first stage, but we don't recover
There's
the
the poll up,
stage.
if you want to vote in that.
Falcon 9's heaviest payload to date is just over 17 metric tons. So 150 to 250 metric tons on Starship is an order of magnitude greater in terms of the payload capacity. Now, for today's test, we will be the first of many as we work towards transitioning Starship from a developmental into an operational program. And the primary objective today is to gather as much data as we can around the fully integrated vehicle. Now, while we have flown the Starship spacecraft in the past, it is going to be the first attempt of Super Heavy
Just blow my
and the
nose
first
again.
opportunity for us to validate how the two vehicles operate together.
Should I turn up
We
the
are so
stream
excited
audio
for
a
this.
little bit?
The purposes
there.
for today's flight, we will consider any data received that helps inform and improve future builds of Starship as a success. From a milestone standpoint, our main goal is to clear the pad. Every milestone beyond that is a bonus. The further we fly, the more data we can collect.
Now, if it does all go well, then we'll expect the Super Heavy to light up its 33 Raptor engines at the base of the vehicle and lift off, clear the pad away down from Starbase in Starbase, Texas, and then it'll go into ascent. About 3 minutes into its ascent, we're going to expect to see Super Heavy separate from the Starship. It'll perform a flip maneuver, and then it'll execute a boost back burn, and we're going to be targeting a hard landing in the Gulf of Mexico.
And while that's happening, we
Hard
hope to see
landing. I
Starship's
thought they would have
6
powered it.
second-stage engines ignite and watch as Starship coasts for about an hour at altitudes ranging between
not gonna
150
store the
and
booster?
250 kilometers before re-entering Earth's atmosphere and make its own hard landing in the Pacific Ocean about 250-ish kilometers offshore. Now, we are not really expecting many camera views after separation. That is to say, if we even make
Hello,
it that
Armin.
far. But we do promise that whatever views we do have, we will bring them to you live.
Yep, we have a couple of ground stations along the way, so if we are able to get good telemetry, assuming we make it that far into the ascent, then of course those will be available on the stream. And also worth mentioning today, like the whole just getting the vehicle off the pad is a complex endeavor. We are going to be trying to reduce complexity by attempting those hard water landings instead of trying a normal landing like you're used to on Falcon 9.
Exactly. We are not attempting to recover these vehicles, so yeah, hard landings in store for both.
Now, in a little bit, we'll take a closer look at the vehicle and the launch pad. But first, the teams have been doing a tremendous amount of work over the last few months. In fact, there's a great shot of our Hawthorne team up here bright and early to watch the launch. Teams have been prepping really for the last few days, especially to try to get in today's launch attempt.
And here you can see a live view of the South Padre Amphitheater, where both SpaceX employees, friends and family, and members of the public are gathering to watch Starship lift off. And we can see the crowds are gathering there as well. And of course, we want to give a shout out to the SpaceX team. You see them there on screen, members of our launch command, our Star Command Center. That is our Starbase Launch Control Center. Yep, those are the operators today who are going to be reviewing all the data and, of course, giving us the go, no go poll, checking the status to try to get in today's launch attempt just around 27 minutes from now. And one thing I do want to mention, I misspoke. It's not the South Padre Amphitheater. It's the Cameron County Amphitheater. Now, the entire Starship structure on your screen is made from stainless steel. When it's stacked, it stands about 120 meters tall. It's about 9 meters around. And we have this awesome video that shows you just how big that is. You can see one of our technicians there doing some final prep work in advance of today's test. And man, there's the 120-meter monster. The person just keeps getting smaller and smaller. Now, just like Falcon 9, Starship has 2 stages, which we'll talk more about those in a minute. In addition to those 2 stages, Starship actually has a 3rd stage, which we call Stage 0. It consists of all the launch pad infrastructure built around the rocket, as you can see there on your screen, and it's truly an engineering feat in its own right. Yeah, we've got a great shot there of the various different components of it. The pad, the infrastructure, all that is required to get into filling the tanks. Now, let's talk about the Super Heavy. Its name says everything. It's super, it's heavy, it's super heavy. When it's operational, it'll be responsible for providing the power to escape that mighty gravitational pull of Earth that we've got here and take Starship into orbit. The booster itself stands about 70 meters tall and is roughly the same height as a fully integrated Falcon 9, which is just so crazy to me. But this super heavy booster has a diameter roughly 2.5 times that of Falcon 9, and with 33 much larger engines. We have a beautiful view here. This is one of my favorite views that we're going to get today. Those are our 33 Raptor engines at the base of the super heavy booster.
Yep, and you can see they're in a couple of different rings here. So we've got the outer ring of 20 static engines. They're going to be providing a huge amount of thrust today to lift off the entire stack. But then we've got the 13 gimbaling engines in the middle, and they're going to be providing the tilt maneuvers and also helping to reorient the booster as it comes back later in today's flight.
Yeah, and when we say gimbal, it's basically tilting or almost wiggling the engines a few degrees and in either direction
I've got a feeling
to
there might
allow
be a
the booster
squirrel
to steer itself, just as you said, Shiva.
The weather doesn't
And we'll
look
get some great
great.
shots later of actually a wiggle test that we perform ahead of liftoff, just to make sure that all of those engines are able to control their full range of control authority.
One thing to note, those Raptor engines are completely designed and manufactured in-house. They are, as many of you know that have been following along, they are a reusable methane oxygen staged combustion type engine. So it's a lot of words there. And ultimately, that staged combustion means that we combust the propellant in stages. That we kind of pre-combust them in a pre-burner, and by doing so, it allows the engine to be more efficient, i.e. more powerful.
Yeah. Now, like Falcon 9, the Super Heavy has 4 grid fins to assist with orienting itself in its return back to Earth. We got a shot of them there beneath the Starship's aft flaps. Now, as we talked about earlier, Super Heavy is not going to be attempting a land landing today, but with this flight test, we're still trying to get as much data as we can. We're focusing on the fundamental systems and operations, so that's the liftoff portion, but we are going to try to get some data on how the fins work.
I wonder actually how much we're going to get to see today and how much is going to be
after ascent.
Like on a video after the fact.
There. Now, Starship, or the spacecraft, is the second stage, and it makes up the top portion of the vehicle. It's designed for carrying passengers and cargo to Earth orbit and beyond. It stands about 50 meters tall, which is a little taller than the Statue of Liberty. It's comprised of 6 Raptor engines, 3 sea level and 3 vacuum engines, which are optimized to operate in the vacuum of space. And they provide a maximum of 258,000 tons of thrust in vacuum. Spacecraft is also outfitted with 4 flaps to help aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude, which you can see those 2 forward flaps there on your screen now. So they help control the vehicle's attitude during atmospheric flight and enable precise landing at the intended location. Now, one thing we got to mention, the heat shields. They are iconic. Starship is wrapped in a heat shield, which is composed of 18,000 hexagonal ceramic tiles designed to insulate the vehicle during that atmospheric entry. And that's really important because the temperatures can be as high as 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. The hex-shaped tiles, like the ones that Shiva and I have, roughly make up about 2/3 of the vehicle. We can see that we have some different shapes. Mine is slightly curved. As you can imagine, it sits on the curved portions of the Starship vehicle.
Now, the one that I've got is a hexagonal tile that's more flat, and it's really used for the flatter structures on the vehicle. And we need a heat shield because when you're coming back in from re-entry, we're going supersonic, we're compressing all the air ahead of us. That ends up causing a lot of heating along the surface, and without a heat shield, that would go straight into the structure.
Yeah, one thing that's amazing to me, especially when I first picked up one of these heat shield tiles, is that they're so light. They almost feel like they're made out of foam. They're that light, and they kind of sound like it too. And one thing that we do want to mention, in order to reject the maximum amount of heat during that entry, like Shiva was just saying, they're black, and that's because black helps reject that heat that is building up on the exterior of the heat shield.
Now, Starship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing as opposed to taking off and landing like an airplane, and that's because that's really important because we don't have runways on the moon or Mars. Fortunately, at those destinations, the gravity is not as high as it is here on Earth. On Mars, the gravity is just 1/3 of what it is here on Earth, and on the moon, it's just 1/6. So in both of those cases, Starship, with just its engines, can take off without needing the super heavy booster like we do need here on planet Earth.
Now, for today's test, Starship does not have its landing legs attached because, like we said before, it won't be returning anywhere. Starship is expected to make a very hard ocean landing, which, if we even make it that far and manage to get any views,
Hopefully it'll make it
it will
that far.
certainly make for a very exciting end to today's
It'd be good
test.
being in
At
Hawaii
this
and
point in
seeing
time,
this
we are
fireball come through the
20
sky. if it
minutes,
makes it
or
there.
just over 20 minutes from liftoff. Let's check in with John Innsbrucker for a status update. Hey, John, how's it looking?
Thanks, Kate. I'm John Innsbrucker, Principal Integration Engineer here at SpaceX. We're currently loading propellant from the ground system into both the first and second stages. Now, both vehicles use the same two propellants. That commonality helps build the reliability. And the fuel today is liquid methane, and that's at a temperature of just over 100 kelvins. That's about minus 272 degrees
I like the
below
little
zero on the
percentages on
Fahrenheit
the side
scale.
there. That shows you actually
Now,
how
liquid
much
methane
fuel's
is a
in.
different fuel from Falcon 9. That booster uses RP1 kerosene. However, our oxidizer is liquid oxygen, and that's the same as Falcon 9. Because there is no oxygen in space to support combustion, we have to bring our own. Now, leading up to where we are right now, we had a go-no-go poll. That was conducted just after T-minus 2 hours, and once the team gave their goes, we started loading propellants onto the booster at T-minus 1 hour and 39 minutes. At T-minus 1 hour and 22 minutes, we began propellant loading of the ship. The second stage you can see on your screen right there. Now, propellant loading of the Starship's second stage main tanks completed at about the T-minus 27-minute mark, at which time we then began loading the two header tanks in the nose of the second stage. Now, at T-minus 3 minutes, when the first stage super heavy propellant loading completes, that means we'll have all the propellant on the rocket, and the vehicle will be fully loaded with over 10 million pounds of propellant. Now, right now, at T-minus 19 minutes and counting from liftoff, the weather and winds are looking good. We have been watching the ground level winds. They're at 18 miles an hour. As the morning continues, they will increase, but that is below our limits right now. We're also looking at upper altitude winds. We're waiting for one more balloon, but we believe that we're going to be go. On the launch vehicle itself, the teams, the good news, they're not working any issues right now. But if for some reason we do not make our test flight today, if we have to hold, we have a backup launch window. However, we're not sure when it would be. It could be 24 or 48 hours after today. It'll depend on how far we get into the countdown. But right now, heading for a T0 at 8:28 Central, 13:28 Universal Time. Kate, everything is looking good.
Awesome news. Now, in order to make life multiplanetary, we need a fully reusable vehicle that's capable of carrying a huge amount of cargo and a lot of people to orbit and have a pretty quick turnaround. The idea is to effectively reuse launch vehicles just like airplanes.
Yeah, imagine if you had to wait for a new airplane to be constructed every time you wanted to fly. You'd rarely go anywhere, and for most of us, it would be completely unaffordable. In order for us to get to Mars and back with lots of people, lots of cargo, multiple times, reusability really is a must.
In advance of our first missions to Mars, Starship will execute a number of missions with both cargo and people, starting with Earth orbit and eventually expanding to the Moon and beyond.
Now, in the near term and a bit closer to home, Starship will also be critical to other programs. Once fully operational, it'll deliver the full-size upgraded version of our Starlink satellites, and that's super exciting because our next-generation satellites represent a step forward in Starlink's capabilities and will allow us to connect millions of more people around the world with high-speed internet to watch launch webcasts.
Such an exciting future ahead of us, but first, let's talk a little about how we got to where we are today.
Now, Starship's testing ramped up in July of 2019 with our Starhopper prototype, sort of a short version of the Starship that we see today. There's a great photo of it. It was just over 18 meters tall. It had a single Raptor engine, and we had it to test fly and perform low-level altitude maneuvers and attempt landing. The initial test flight, or hop, reached about 20 meters in altitude. That was followed by the one that you've got on your screen here. This was our 150-meter altitude hop. We went up, took a little jaunt away, about 100 meters or so away from the launch pad, used that Raptor engine to fly and actually land.
I think that was
and
only in
actually
2019 as well.
Hopper is
It's
actually
pretty
down at
crazy.
Starbase now.
Yeah, I love this shot. It's just so fun to see it fly. After a series of 150-meter hop tests with earlier prototypes, the Starship program saw a major breakthrough during a test flight of the vehicle known as serial number 8, or SN8. You can see it there on your screen now. In December 2020, SN8 demonstrated a first-of-its-kind controlled aerodynamic descent and landing flip maneuver. 2 words.
It was pretty
belly flop.
insane that one.
The SN8 prototype rose to an altitude of 12.5 kilometers or 7.8 miles and conducted a belly flop maneuver, which you see there, during its descent. While it didn't stick the landing, the test was a major milestone in the development of Starship. In fact, we should be able to see that unfortunately failed landing. Boom. It was fun to watch, though.
Rapid unscheduled disassembly, but learned a lot of data. Now, the testing continued on to prototype serial number 9. It
God, I
took
forgot
a
about all
10-kilometer
these.
flight.
It's that
It's about
long ago now.
6.2 miles up. In
Feels
February
like a
of
long time ago.
2021, we had a nominal ascent. We executed the engine cutoffs once we got to the top of the altitude window. We did that belly flop maneuver, which is so much more fun to say than controlled descent, aerodynamic maneuver. That was all stable, but unfortunately, we had a dramatic end on this flight as well. We had a failure on one of the engines that resulted in another pretty large fireball. But what was really cool about both of those flights was how much we learned just between serial numbers 8 and 9 and how quickly we were able to achieve our primary objectives in those 2 flights. In addition to that, we got so much data that demonstrated control of the vehicle in that subsonic regime.
Ultimately, we performed 9 Starship high-altitude test flights in total. And then, as you see on your screen there, in May of 2021, SN15 launched from Starbase, reached an altitude of about 10 kilometers, performed a number of maneuvers, and safely returned to the launch site. This was the first Starship prototype to fly, control its descent, safely land, and be recovered in one piece.
And people were cheering like crazy
I was
after
one of
that
them.
test flight. Now, having achieved those successes in our suborbital campaign, one of the next big challenges is for the upper stage when it comes to reusability and surviving the hypersonic, really high heating phase of entry. Combined with the later ability to refill Starship's tank with propellants, the fuel and oxygen, while we're on orbit, that will enable us to have a fully reusable transportation system that's designed to carry both crew and cargo on long-duration missions, interplanetary flights, and will help humanity get to the moon, travel to Mars, and beyond in our solar system.
This is all just basically our path of progress, basically an iteration on each vehicle. And that iterative process is a core part of how we work here at SpaceX. We like to test early and often, publicly as well in our case, and that's both for hardware and software. And while it doesn't always go as expected, we learn so much from it, and it informs our next attempt.
Yeah, we learn a lot from actually putting the vehicle through flight-like tests. Even the test on Monday
Another vote
gave
in
us
the
an
poll
opportunity to
for
learn more
all
about
the
the
way.
vehicle into today's launch
Fingers
attempt, and
crossed.
so far
That
things
is-
are
that
looking
is the
really
hope.
good. Now, we are continuing into our countdown. We're about T-minus 12 minutes to go. I think it's a perfect time for another check-in with John Insparker. How's it going, John?
Well, Shiva, the good news is that the nets are quiet. The teams are currently working. No significant launch vehicle issues. You can see the T clock there on your screen, T-minus 12 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting. Propellant loading is continuing on both the Super Heavy and the ship stages. You can see the graphic on the left-hand side of the screen. Most recently, we began loading liquid oxygen and liquid methane fuel into the header tanks on Starship. Those are 2 small tanks just underneath the nose of the second stage. Now that started at T-minus 27 minutes. That'll be wrapping up at about that will be wrapping up about T-minus 9 minutes. Now the Starship second stage main fuel and LOX tanks are loaded for flight right now. The Super Heavy first stage booster propellant loading
wind's
is
calming down as
continuing,
well,
and that'll
actually.
go till about T-minus 3 minutes. We're underway with engine chill as we get ready for T0. And we're also configuring the launch pad for liftoff.
Cool. Yeah.
The booster hold downs have been unlatched. They'll be ready to retract at liftoff. And the second stage quick disconnect is beginning its configuration for release. The methane and liquid oxygen propellants currently going to the second stage go through that quick disconnect. That's that arm that reaches out from the tower to the base of the second stage.
It's going to be
The SpaceX team continues to check in with the Coast Guard. Good news is we've not heard any reports of boats in the safety perimeter as the launch vehicle heads out over the Gulf of Mexico. So right now, T-minus 10 minutes, 40 seconds, and counting. Everything continues to go well for an on-time launch.
Now,
Fingers
today's
crossed.
test flight is taking place out of our Starbase facility in South Texas, and that test site has gone through a huge amount of development over the last couple of years.
One thing I want to point out, this is a great view from our drone. Not only can we see the pad, but in the fog, kind of in the distance, in the background and to the left of the pad, you can actually see our production facility, which is the other part of Starbase in addition to the launch pad.
Of course, as part of rapidly iterating with our test program, we're also rapidly iterating on our production system to produce Starships.
Man, living
and
in the
Super
UK,
Heavies.
admit
Last year, the
this,
Starbase team produced 4
horrible.
Starship Super Heavy boosters and 5 Starships, along with their 200th Raptor 2
I'm
engine.
jealous of people
They're
that
only
are there.
scaling up from there, Kate.
It would be
Yeah,
so
it's
amazing.
incredible to think that for 2023, production has 5 boosters and 8 Starships going. So it's incredible. And it's important to have that system fill in basically the manufacturing line so that we have product ready to go as soon as we're done with this test.
Yeah, exactly. And ultimately, I mean, we talked about how Starship is an order of magnitude more payload to orbit. But if you're going to go set up a base on the moon or Mars, you're going to need thousands of metric tons of propellants. And so you're going to need a fleet of vehicles that's capable of doing that.
Yeah, one thing to note,
Another
Starbase
vote for all
directly
the way.
employs more than 1,800 employees. It's the largest
People are
employer
confident
in the
this.
area, in
People are
fact.
really confident.
And we're very thankful to Cameron County for being so supportive. This is a view from the Cameron County Amphitheater, and there's a crowd there, and you could tell by the energy here in Hawthorne as well that everyone's getting really exciting. I feel my own heart rate going up and up.
I know. It must be really, really exciting to go see this. And I mean, just the sheer amount of power on Starship, you're going to feel it down there when this thing lifts off from the pad. We've actually got a great shot here of the natural surroundings around the pad. Oddly enough, most of the pads end up being around sort of wild locations like this. But coming up on T-minus 8 minutes, I think it's another good time for check-in with John.
Come on, John.
Thank you, Shiva. T-minus just over 8 minutes to the first test flight of Starship. Currently, we are pressurizing second stage. We are also closing out liquid oxygen and fuel header loads on the second stage. We're also getting ready for propellant load tank pressurization on the first stage. In fact, we are just now closing out header tank load on the second stage. Now with the header tanks loaded and closed out, that means we're down to just the first stage to finish loading. That'll finish
Man, this is
about
nerve-wracking.
T-minus 3 minutes.
Nerve-wracking.
And at that point, when both stages are loaded, we will have the 10 million pounds of liquid propellant on board.
10 million pounds.
Now in the next
of
few
propellant.
minutes, the guidance system will begin its final alignment for flight during a quiet period when the rocket's not doing anything. The automated flight termination system will be armed, and a final TVC checkout will be performed. Those are the engine wiggles, and hopefully we'll be able to see that with the cameras underneath the vehicle and maybe even the second stage engines. And there's a view looking underneath the super heavy first stage with the 33 Raptor engines. Now, a reminder as we continue counting down, if we do need to hold, the point where we hold the clock would be at T-minus 40 seconds. We can pause there. Typically in the past, if we need a little bit more time to finish final checkouts or do some pressurization of the onboard storage tanks, that's where we would hold. But currently, we're not hearing a need to hold, so at 6 minutes, 27 seconds, everything looks good. And of course, Kate Shiva, as we get close, we're going to get into the engine ignition sequence of 33 Raptors, and that's going to be something new for everybody.
I cannot wait for that moment. So for those of you that are familiar with how we launch Falcon 9 rockets, you probably know that we light all 9 of those first stage Merlin 1D engines all at once. It's pretty different than what we do, or what we're attempting to do today. We're actually going to be igniting those 33 engines in banks or clusters, and that sequence starts at T minus 6 seconds.
You reckon it's going to
Yeah,
do it?
and the ignition sequence is a little bit different, both in terms of the timing and also the ignition method. So on Falcon 9, we use a chemical called T-Tab. It's a pyrophoric material, so that means when you mix the two together, it produces a flame that kicks off that green characteristic spark on Falcon 9 missions. But actually on Starship, we use electrical ignition systems. Many of those are integrated on the ground system here. And the electrical ignition, we start lighting the banks at T minus 6 seconds, and then over the next 4 seconds, the 3 sets of banks will ignite and eventually bring the booster up to a thrust to weight greater than 1 and hopefully ascent.
Super exciting. Like we said, pretty different from our
Imagine
Falcon
if it's
9
like
launches,
Astra and it
so
just
this
goes
will be
sideways.
the first time that any of us have gotten to see this type of integrated test flight with both the Starship and the Super Heavy booster.
Everyone's cheering as we get into T minus 5 minutes.
We want to remind everyone that success today is anything.
Yeah, it looks fun down there. I kind of want to go join them.
For today, success is anything that we learn that helps improve the future builds of Starship. If we lift off and clear the pad, we're calling that a win.
A great shot of the pad there. A great shot of the quick disconnect on the second stage. You can see the frost line on the booster where that methane is fully topped up. I think we're just coming up on the last few minutes here of propellant fill on the booster. Now that quick disconnect is going to separate away as we actually get into the ignition sequence, but it's providing electrical connections now and also providing the propellants that we're loading into the vehicle.
Yeah. We're just now under 4 minutes until liftoff of the Starship flight test. We've been following along for what honestly seems like days and days now, but really it kind of comes down to years. It has been a long time to get to where we are today. Now, fast forwarding a little bit, we have the opportunity to hold, if necessary, at 40 seconds, and we are able to hold there for about 15 minutes or up to 15 minutes and still be able to lift off.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different from Falcon for the propellant sequence on Falcon that we don't have the opportunity to hold. So that's a cool new capability on Starship.
Yep. Right now, T minus 3 minutes, 10 seconds and counting. We got some great views from the drone. It's nice that the fog is slowly lifting. We get some of the blue skies, hopefully good views. What we're waiting for right now is closeout of propellant loading on the first stage.
Man, this gets so intense.
That should be wrapping up here shortly.
3
In fact,
minutes
it looks like
left
fuel fill and drain valves are coming closed. That means first stage is fully loaded, second stage fully loaded, and that 10 million pounds of propellant on board the Starship launch vehicle.
I want to take a quick moment to say that the crowd energy here is electric. I feel like it's Falcon Heavy test demo all over again.
And hopefully you'll hear us as we get into the plus count. But right now, next activity is coming up. The flight termination system arms at T minus 2 minutes. Thrust vector control checkouts at T minus 2 minutes. And then after that, major activity will be the T minus 40-second gate. There's a view looking up at the 33 Raptor engines. There are 20 engines in a circle on the outside. And as Shiva said earlier, 13 engines on the center. Those are the ones that gimbal and steer the vehicle.
I think every minute there's going to be changing.
So excited for TBC wiggles.
Love this view. These are the 33 Raptor engines at the base of the Super Heavy booster. I think we can see those wiggles now.
Oh.
We're currently inside 90 seconds.
They didn't look like
Next
much
major
movement.
activity, T-minus 40 seconds. That is a gate, a decision point. We're waiting. Possibility the propulsion team may need a few minutes.
Uh-oh.
Flight termination system is armed for flight. We're getting ready for T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Wow, 1 minute to go.
Right, T-minus 1 minute and counting.
This is pretty insane.
Next, we'll see as we get past T-minus 40 seconds for final checks of the vehicle.
Oh man. Here we go. No, it's gone back to 40. Maybe.
Okay, you can see the clock is recycled.
Oh.
Flight director has called a hold. We are recycling. For the moment, we'll see where they move the clock back to. They could hold at T-minus 40 seconds. They could go to an earlier point. Give us a minute to listen into the nets, and we'll see if we can get you more information to
Let's
share.
hope it's not a scrub. Such a tease. Such a tease. Getting down to 40 seconds. Come on, give us some news. Check Twitter. No update yet. Come on. Put that magical 40-second counter back. It's going to be a scrub. It is. I hope not.
John Innsbrucker again here at the Hawthorne webcast desk. We're holding a T-minus 40 seconds. What we've heard so far is we have a couple of issues we're working. One is the booster tank pressurization. Final pressurization was just a little bit long. That's not unusual. We've held at T-minus 40 seconds before to pressurize. That appears to have been resolved. At the same time on the second stage, they're working some final purging. We should know very shortly if that is cleared and if we'll continue the countdown.
Everyone, especially that person, is excited to keep going. Like John said, we should know shortly if we are able to continue. But as we mentioned before, we are able to hold up to 15 minutes and still be able to lift off today.
Yeah, on Falcon 9, it's a little bit different. Once
Just
we
light
start
the candle
propellant
and
loading,
see what happens.
we pretty much have to go at the targeted time. Otherwise, the propellants can warm up, and we may not have the performance for that particular mission profile. It's a little bit different on Starship.
Folks, if I can interrupt,
yeah,
it looks like they're clearing all the flags, and we're going to release at T-minus 40 seconds.
Oh my God! Come on.
That is amazing news.
Amazing.
Team working quickly through their issues on first and second stages.
And I'm sure all of the rehearsals and simulations that they've been doing have prepared them to evaluate this data quickly to try to get us in for today's launch attempt.
For those of you just joining, we have a brief hold at the T-minus 40-second mark. The team is resolving one issue with the bleed purge on the Stage 2 Raptors. Like John just said, the teams are quickly working that, and it looks like the flags are being cleared as we speak. So we should be able to resume the launch
Fingers
countdown
crossed.
any moment now.
And it's worth noting on Starship that once we resume the countdown, it restarts from the 40-second period, and then we keep going unless another condition pops up. So stick around because Starship could be going here real soon.
Don't walk away, that's for sure. Amazing views here coming to us from Starbase, Texas.
Clock has resumed counting down on Twitter. Oh, here we go. Oh my god.
T-minus 15 seconds.
10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Lit the candle. Come on. It's moving. Oh wow. Look at that. 3 engines not lit. From a diagram at the bottom. Will it continue?
Pressure is nominal. 43 seconds into the test flight of the inaugural Starship vehicle. Tower cleared, we're into pitch over. Propulsion reports first stage engines nominal.
Four engines out.
Cameras at Starbase. We're flying at twice the thrust of the Saturn V heading to space.
Acquisition signal, Corpus Christi.
Proceed.
We're throttled down and throttled back up. Going through the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Wow. Look at all them engines there.
As the velocity increases, the density of the atmosphere is decreasing.
Max Q.
4 engines out there.
On the vehicle, the call out, max Q now. Continuing to watch the first stage as we head down range. 100 seconds into flight. Our next major activity is going to be shutdown of the first stage. Houston Tracking Station now acquiring the vehicle. With shutdown, we will get separation of Starship from Super Heavy and ignition of the Starship engines. When Starship separates, we light up 6 engines in a staggered sequence. And if all goes well, those 6 engines will burn for almost 6.5 minutes. Onboard view from Starship.
This is going to be separation.
Of the Raptor engines on the second stage as we prepare for stage separation. Now, after stage separation, the first stage will flip and begin a boost back maneuver for landing in the Gulf.
Uh-oh. That doesn't look good. Oh no. Has it flipped?
Continuing to fly. 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Let's get ready for main engine cutoff.
Has it flipped? I don't think it's separated.
Beginning to flip for stage separation.
Oh, flip for stage separation? No. Nah, they're going to terminate. That's not normal. That's not normal, is it? It's accelerating again. Hang on.
As of right now, we are awaiting stage separation,
Nah.
where Starship should separate from
Oh,
the
no.
Super Heavy booster.
Yeah, Kate, right
Nah,
now
we're
it
coming
looks
back
like
down.
we saw
It's
the
coming
start
back
of the
down.
flip, but obviously we're seeing from the ground cameras the entire Starship stack continuing to rotate. We should have had separation by now. Obviously, this is does not appear to be a nominal situation.
Yeah, it does appear to be spinning, but I do want to remind everyone that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
There we go, terminated. But that got further than I thought it would get, to be honest. If I'm honest, that got further than I thought.
To the Starship inaugural integrated test flight.
There we go. At least it got somewhere. It got somewhere.
Everyone here absolutely pumped to clear the pad and make it this far into the
That was
test
like
flight.
Kerbal
Its first
Space Program.
integrated flight of the booster and the
That was the
Starship
Kerbal
vehicle.
Space Program launch.
Live view there
There's
of
Elon.
our control center at Starbase, which we refer to as Star Command. As we said before, obviously we wanted to make it all the way through, but to get this far, honestly, is amazing.
I think it must have something to do
Well,
with
if you're
the
just
four
joining
engines
us,
that weren't lit
Starship
on
just
launch.
experienced what we call a rapid unscheduled disassembly, or a RUD, during ascent. But now this was a development test. This is the first test flight of Starship, and the goal was to gather the data, and as we said, clear the pad and get ready to go again. So you never know exactly what's going to happen, but as we promised, excitement is guaranteed. And Starship gave us a rather spectacular end to what was truly an incredible test thus far.
As we mentioned at the start of today's program, any and all the data that we collected during the test is going to help us with further development of Starship, and it's going to improve the vehicle's reliability as SpaceX seeks to make life multiplanetary. It's really worth noting that the flight path was designed to be over water and all the air and sea space. Along with that flight path and those surrounding areas were cleared in advance of the test. And of course, we're going to be coordinating with local authorities for the recovery operations.
But honestly, what an exciting morning. Oh my gosh. We had a successful liftoff from Starbase, Texas at 8:28 a.m. Central Time. We cleared the tower, which honestly was our only hope. We cleared the tower, and all the data that we collected all the way through all those Raptor, those 33, although I think we saw that 3 Raptor engines were out, but we got all that data, and we got so far as to hoping to see the Starship, the second stage, separate from the first stage, the Super Heavy booster. And unfortunately, we didn't make that happen, but that's okay. It was the first integrated launch, and honestly, today was amazing.
It's a shame it didn't separate so we
Absolutely
could see
incredible
the
day.
free fall of
We made
Starship.
it through a number of those initial test objectives with getting booster ascent, getting all the way through the countdown, working some issues
Yep.
at the end. Like, really fantastic day.
Got through the gate at T-minus 40 seconds on the second try. Everything released, the hold downs, the quick disconnect arms, everything moves out of the way. And then we got the vehicle off of the pad, through max Q, all the way up to stage separation, even starting into the prep for stage sep. And then, as we say, a lot of excitement.
Yep. Honestly, my face has had a smile on it since liftoff, and now my face hurts. Now, since we don't have any insights on the cause of our rapid unscheduled disassembly at this point, we're going to end our webcast here. Teams will continue to review the data and work toward our next flight test. But before we go, a big congrats to the entire SpaceX team on an exciting first integrated flight test of Starship. And of course, a shout out to our viewers. We appreciate you joining us. And as always, we thank you for your interest in Starship, SpaceX, and your ongoing support. Till next time.
Wow. I mean, it got further than I thought it would get. But damn, that is a shame. That is a damn shame. It must have something to do with the 4 engines that were out on launch. That is what I'm going to say. And obviously a fault with the disconnect system. But yeah, that that was pretty cool, and it was excitement guaranteed, and I did enjoy that. So yeah, if you want to check back and see my flight of it on Kerbal Space Program 2, go at the start of the stream where I did a test flight in there with a pretty rubbish rendition of Starship, but it looks okay. So yeah, if you want to check that out, I had pretty much the same problem where I just started flipping around, but you know, at least I made it past launch and separation. Anyway, thank you very much for joining for this stream today, for this launch. I probably won't get to see the next launch, whenever that is, in a few months' time. Just had the opportunity to do it, so I thought I would stream it. So thank you very much, and see you guys in the next video.